Support for exploring the American spirit provided by Blumenthal Law Offices. Serving Southern California clients for more than 40 years, the Blumenthal Law Team, headed by attorney Virginia Blumenthal, is devoted to defending the rights of the accused. More information is online at blumenthalllawoffices.com.
Hello, I'm Mary Parks. While we use many words to describe the American spirit, such as commitment, perseverance, resilience, generosity, and passion, the truth is the American spirit at its best is the feeling we get when we see it in action or share in the experience of learning how we help each other. Our goal with this program is to bring you the inspiring stories we've found that demonstrate the American spirit, or better put, that have found us. You see, the American spirit takes place all around us. We want to help you connect with the individuals and organizations that are busy every day making an impact, solving problems, and meeting needs. I'll be your guide on this incredible journey, so pull up your chair, relax, and prepare to be inspired. At 17, Elena Jones is writing lyrics, performing songs, and planning her high school graduation. This determined Latina is a budding performer who confides she's learning to persevere and develop a thick skin, key to the road ahead.
Like a little song said, follow me.
I aspire just to help children, just inspire other people to follow their dreams, because that's what I'm trying to do. And obviously in America, you can do anything you want, and then that's what I'm trying to do. I want to live the American dream, which is to sing.
With 5 original songs and 2 music videos to her credit, Elena is committed to her music with a message. The lyrics are meant to inspire young people to live in the moment and search for creativity. Elena's first single, Slave to the Rhythm, states, "Get up and move your feet," with dance moves and messages to teenagers to expand their own form of artistic expression, whether it's dance, movement, art, or in this case, skating.
Oh, I hope this night never ends. I gotta be crazy to let it take over me again. But I'm a slave to the rhythm. 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 I think it's time you move your feet. This is how I release. They party in the street all night. Get up out your seat. This is how you release. Chain yourself onto the beat all night.
Where does your inspiration for your original music come from?
It depends on the track itself. If it's a happy track, I'll just think of happy times I have with my friends or family, and that's usually where my inspiration comes. I try to go from experiences I've gone through with my life.
I mean, like Taylor Swift has been known to write a lot of songs about her relationships, and maybe not even all of them are good.
Yeah.
Do you find that true for yourself? You take experiences and that's where your song comes from?
Definitely. Relationships have a big impact on everybody's lives, so that's where people relate to the most. So I try to go in my experiences, try to write about what people are going through, not just myself.
My love has gone before the sun, and I won't keep fighting no more with you. Let's take this moment.
People, life, relationships, all topics that inspired Elena to write Nobody Knows, telling people not to give up, that nothing is impossible, a trait often seen in those who embody the American spirit.
Start from the beginning. I'll meet you halfway. Oh, if we try, maybe we'll be alright. If you go, then I'll go.
From a tiny room in her Southern California home, Jones composed her first song at age 13. Because she was so young, the family liked the idea of handing out stuffed teddy bears to audience members when Elena performs. She keeps an ample supply of the teddy bears, each adorned with a photo button bearing her image. The buttons were her dad's idea.
And you have a button.
Much of Elena's success thus far stems from a supportive family.
I'm very fortunate with what I have and the parents I have, and I know a lot of children aren't in that same position. So I just want to help children with music, by making them happy and just forgetting about their problems for a while.
Elena often performs and spends time with students at a school for developmentally disabled children in Los Angeles County. The singing and socializing were to help stimulate autistic children in the classroom and encourage interaction.
So we booked a show over there, and then I went to go sing, and just seeing how happy they were and how I inspired them through my music, it was a good feeling, but at the same time it was heartbreaking.
And these children really react to music. They really enjoy music, and when we go and perform at the special needs school, you can just see the smiles on their faces and stuff from when she's singing and interacting with them. So I would like to get to the point where we can do a lot more with that part of it. That's probably the most rewarding of all the stuff we do.
It's a father-daughter effort when it comes to marketing Elena's talent as well. Don Jones made a rolling billboard featuring Elena's photo and social media links. It's often her stage as she plays county fairs, festivals, and special occasions. You are obviously your daughter's biggest fan.
Correct, and I believe in her so much that I'm going to do everything I possibly can to make her dream come true. If that means driving up and down the freeways on a Saturday afternoon, we're going to do it. Driving down to Hollywood, driving to Fresno, Phoenix. We're going to drive this sign everywhere we can.
Is that your dream too?
It's both of ours, yeah. I can picture her up there on the stage. So I'm really hoping that she makes it and we can do a lot of good with her success. We're hoping.
Recently, Elena took her teddy bears, buttons, and CDs to Hollywood's Walk of Fame.
Hollywood's really fun. We go down to Hollywood, we give away bears and CDs, and the smiles you see on people's faces that is priceless. I mean, you can't put a cost on that. That's just, we really enjoy making other people happy. That's probably the most fun of it, is taking people away from their problems, even if it's only for 5 minutes, an hour. As a parent, when you decide to bring a child into the world, it's your responsibility to give them every opportunity that they can have. So that means sacrificing, you do it. So whatever they want to do, you really, really work hard to help them get there.
And you've worked hard.
Work very, very hard.
Not just your daughter, for your other children as well.
Yeah. We try to give everybody the best we can offer, and hopefully they appreciate it and succeed down the line.
Elena shares a deep respect and appreciation for her mom, Teresa, for her work ethic and their Mexican heritage. She left school before graduating to work in a factory.
We're very proud of her. She's a good girl. We're very, very proud of her. We love her.
And if Elena doesn't make it, superstar or that, we've had a lot of fun doing it over the years. And it's something that me and her shared, and long after I'm gone, she'll be able to share that with her children, that what her and her dad did together. So.
Even if she's not Jennifer Lopez
Even
or
if she's not
Selena.
we had a lot of fun doing it, and it brought us closer together, and so it's well worth it. Everything we do is worth it.
Determination, perseverance, inspiring others. That's the American spirit.
If we try, maybe we'll be alright. If you go, then I'll go. Where nobody knows. Yeah, where I go, you'll go. Where nobody knows. Can we go? We go. Where nobody knows. Nobody knows. Where we going. Nobody knows. Where we going.
World War II produced many heroes. One such man was Walter Beran. He was a soldier in General Patton's army, a husband, father, businessman, and philanthropist.
My father was the greatest man I ever knew. I mean, every boy's hero should be his father, hopefully. But as you get older and learn more about life and understand what's important, my father really was the greatest person I ever knew. He redefined greatness for me in a holistic sense. And his whole life it's like a movie trailer. It's tragedy and rags to riches and murder even and war but at the end of the day it's a love story for the ages.
American Spirit sat down with James Beran, who shared intimate details of his father Walter's life story. The conversation resembled that of a Hollywood movie, except Walter Beran was everything but a famous movie star. Born in a cotton patch town near Waco, Texas, when Walter was a toddler, his father murdered his brother-in-law and nearly killed his mother.
So he was essentially orphaned at 18 months old. And incredibly enough, he was raised largely by the daughter of the murdered father-in-law and the town folk in this little town. And he would yodel for pennies in front of the general store and made brew with his best friends and got caught under the church. That's how he started his young life.
Introducing the new Zulon Press book, The Biggest Short Guy, the amazing untold story of Walter Beran, the CPA who changed L.A., by Frank A. Paul and James P. Beran.
By the age of 17, Walter and his buddies encountered an Army recruiter on their high school campus. Rather than take a Spanish test that day, they enlisted.
Christmas Eve, 1944, he found himself on a troop ship with a couple thousand other young men, and they were headed for a battle that the Germans had done a counterattack in the winter. That battle would later be called the Battle of the Bulls. Didn't make it. They were outside of Cherbourg Harbor. That ship was torpedoed, and he went down with the ship, literally like the movie Titanic, one of the last guys to go off the ship.
Walter lost his best friend that night. He was one of the few men rescued by French fishermen.
When the war was over, everybody's, all these, tens of thousands of young guys, they're in Europe, nothing to do. They set up American universities. So they go around to the local villages and towns and find any book they can, and they would have classes. And this was in Zalmsee, Austria, one of the most beautiful. If you've never been there, it's insanely beautiful. And they started Rainbow University, and Rainbow, after he was in the Rainbow Division, and that was part of Patton's army at the end of the war. And he took an accounting class. They had an accounting book, and so he did the accounting class there in Zalmsee with all the other GIs. And when the war was over and he came back, he went to Baylor University on the GI Bill. And,
wow, good for him.
Didn't know what to take. There's an accounting class. So he took the accounting class, and his accounting professor said, "This is the most brilliant student he ever had." Well, my dad said he never had the heart to tell the guy. It was the same book he had in Zalmsee. So he didn't have the heart to tell him he'd already taken the class.
Walter landed a job at what was known as Ernst & Ernst in Los Angeles, one of the nation's largest accounting firms. He spent many years giving back to the city and people of L.A. He was a serial entrepreneur, working in politics and nonprofit organizations. His circle of friends included presidents like Ronald Reagan and professional athletes such as Magic Johnson. Walter's message until the day he passed in 2007 was always one of community service, ethics, and the notion that nothing was impossible, all traits of the American spirit.
When he went down with the ship, he had a copy of the New Testament in his pocket. This is that New Testament copy. He was in Patton's army at the end of the war, Rainbow Division. That's part of Patton's, and this was his insignia there. And there's his Purple Heart. He actually got 2 Purple Hearts, his Bronze Star. And
but he would never talk about that.
He never talked about the war. He only had nightmares about the war. One night, I heard a tremendous commotion upstairs. I ran up the stairs thinking someone had broken in up there, and he was between the nightstand and the bed, and his head was poked out. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I was jumping in my foxhole."
The Beran home is filled with some of the nation's highest accolades, memorabilia, and keepsakes.
This is one of the 21 howitzer shells that were fired at President Reagan's funeral. So there's only 21 of the world. Only 21 people got them. This is a letter from Mrs. Reagan. One day a young military officer knocked at the door and presented this to my father from Mrs. Reagan. So that's
pretty special.
Extremely special.
Beran says his father had no desire to be powerful or famous. Life just turned out that way. He was a man from very humble beginnings who left behind a wide and powerful legacy. Some of Beran's inspiration to author a book about his father evolved out of love letters written to his mother, more than 40 years worth.
His and my mother's story was a love story for the ages. We call these my mother's birthday books. Every night, my father was away for 22 years, starting in 1965, because he traveled a lot. He would write my mother a letter. And these letters are really incredible. They're not just, miss you, wish the weather wasn't so bad. Little of that in them, but there's largely reflections on life, what's going on in the world at the time.
What makes these books incredible?
What he would do is he would write the letters by hand, okay? And then he would, take some stationery from the hotel. Usually there's hotel stationery with its logos. Find some postcards to give it context. He would take them back to his office, give them to his secretaries. They would type these letters up, and then they would compile the letters and these cards and everything into these books. And my mother would get all the letters from the previous year on her birthday. And so...
How many are there? One, two, oh my gosh.
I call it 14 linear feet. Okay, it's the only way I know how to describe it.
Wow, can we take a look?
Oh,
can
sure.
Let's pick one randomly, or do you have a favorite?
Well, I don't have a favorite. let's see here. I had one. Oh, we'll just do this one. I don't know.
That's huge. Look how
Yeah, this is,
thick.
by the way, this is only half a book. The other half is right here.
Okay, that's half a book.
That's half a
half
book.
a year, right?
Right. So, and as the books evolved, then he would include letters from other people. Obviously, he was in Japan at this time. And,
Wow.
So, like here, this is a chorus station. I can tell by looking at it. So this is a letter he would write to my mom, and giving thanks for America's bounty. There's always maybe some theme for the day, some idea, something he saw that moved him.
In Cleveland in 1984.
Right. This 1984 he'd be in L.A. And this would be the Olympic year, so he was pretty busy. I don't have my glasses, but
Here. And so, and his message is.
This is a prayer here to be thankful for everything that we have. Tomorrow, homeward bound, a thought for which to give thanksgiving. I think of you often. I miss you.
Heartfelt, meaningful,
some
priceless.
message to make us understand how lucky we are, but there's also a lot of observations about what's going on in the world. The letters about what's happening in Vietnam are pretty interesting. He doesn't focus on the war. He focuses on the young people fighting it.
Right.
And he used to be one of those young people in the same situation. And it ends with a German. He spoke German as a young man, and it says, Ich liegen dit von Gazen, Herzen mit Schmerzen. And translated, that means, I love you so much, it hurts.
And that's October 5th,
1965.
65.
So that's how it started.
Using his father's gifts left behind, James Beran authored a book that has become a #1 bestseller. The Biggest Short Guy, The Amazing Untold Story of Walter Beran, the CPA Who Changed L.A. The book is filled with stories of a man who impacted the lives of many. Walter's inspiration in life came from an elderly woman he had met as a young soldier. What's the life lesson there? One of relationships?
I started, there's another book I started saying, the 10 life lessons from the greatest men I ever met to achieve personal greatness, lead a joyful life, and contribute to a great society. And one of the life lessons there is to take time to write a letter by hand to people you care about. Because in this day of texting and email and all that, we have all this communication, but we become less and less connected. And if you actually take time to sit down and write a letter, you will be on that piece of paper. It will be so much more significant. Your thoughts will be so much more deeper. And the person who receives that, they'll be moved, they'll be touched, they'll be affected. Never going to happen with email. It's never going to happen with texting. And I can't tell people enough. Once a month, find something important, someone important, take an hour or two. She said, Walter, I want you to do 3 things for me. She goes, I want you to get married, have a joyful life. She goes, the other thing I want you to do is have a garden, because there's always going to be problems in life, and you're going to need a place to go and work through your problems, and nothing better than a garden to work through your problems. But you may not be able to afford a garden. So if you can't afford a garden, you need to repair to the garden of your mind. And so one of the life lessons, take time for yourself to sit, contemplate what's important in life, think about what you're doing, what your values are. That ties to another lesson about ethics. The third lesson, by the way, is my favorite story from the little old lady. She said, and every time you have a glass of wine, don't drink it all. I want you to leave a little swallow in the bottom, because someday I'm going to come see you. And I'm going to walk into the room, I'm going to look across that room, and I'm going to see you've left a little wine in your glass, and I'll know you have thought of me. Till the day he died, he never drank all the wine in his glass. He always left a little bit of wine in the bottom of his glass. And I tell that story to people, and I find them doing the same thing. Not for the little old lady, but there's someone they always want to think of.
James believes his father exemplified the American spirit, teaching him about business as well as lessons on how to be a truly good human being.
I think he realized that the way he could help the community most is through organizations and great leadership. And that's exactly what he did.
That's the American spirit. We hope you enjoyed today's American Spirit stories. I can tell you how humbled we are each and every time we learn about what is being accomplished in our communities by the generous acts of the individuals we profile. Amazingly, our greatest challenge is deciding which stories we have time to tell and which ones must wait for another day. It's actually rewarding and inspiring to know there are so many amazing people doing such great things for our communities. Please join us again as we continue exploring the American spirit. I'm Mary Parks.